Um, I guess, why don't you, just for fun, tell me in 3 words what you like about Seritage, and then we're going to ask you what you like about why you like Seritage. Why does Seritage make it in your portfolio? And then maybe I'll ask you why Daily Journal makes it into your portfolio. And for the listeners' interest, we just had a long conversation about both companies. And what we're going to try and do is make this content evergreen. So Matthew's not going to go into any specifics that have happened recently or not. But what is the nature of Seritage's assets that attracted you?
3 words. It's difficult to put it in 3 words, but it's a deep value opportunity. And given more time, I'd come up with some maybe even different words. But the reason Seritage is it's a difficult story to understand at the moment, because it's a REIT that is repositioning and repurposing all of these legacy Sears assets, and Sears went bankrupt. So the story is very confusing, because normally a REIT would operate in a much different manner. REITs typically have all of these cash flowing properties and things, and soon they will. But right now they are, at the moment, it is a very misunderstood story. How much detail do you want me to go into, Guy? I can.
Well, I'm going to help you by answering.
Look, I'll share a couple things. They have clearly defined strategies for these properties, and they've kind of put them into 5 different buckets. One of the buckets is being liquidated, and it's a strategy, and the market's confused because they think that these sales are to like create some cash flow or something, but it's actually just recycling the capital from low return, low IRR opportunities to high IRR opportunities. And ultimately, by doing that, they're going to have a great return on equity. They're going to have a great set of final properties. And they're doing all of this densification effort that's going to increase their square footage. And it's a very interesting space to be in. I think the story is so misunderstood that the potential outcome is very asymmetric, and yeah, that's the attractiveness with Seritage.
I feel compelled to. I want to answer my own question, Matthew, in a slightly different way, which is that owning the economic high ground and owning the things that, even if there's asteroid hits the earth or some terrible devastation hits the earth, is still going to be valuable. This kind of nexus of real estate all around these emerging suburbs and built around major arteries, and all these parking lots outlying it, and the inflation protection just means that you own something that's extraordinarily that has to be extraordinarily valuable through time, and whose value is going to go through time. And there's an element to it which is not dissimilar to Berkshire's buy of Burlington Northern. Who knew exactly what the railways were going to do? But when you own a bunch of rights of way through the middle of all these emerging cities, it's got to be good in one way or another. But and then asking you the same question about Daily Journal, and what makes Daily Journal special to you? And then I guess I also have an answer, and who knows, maybe you'll hit my answer, in which case I won't say it, or maybe you don't, in which case I will say it.
Yeah, I will. Look, I think there's a lot of parallels. I'm going to also add to Seritage, before I get into Daily Journal, that this is it is an extraordinary position for our portfolio in particular, because we own nothing else like it. And they are very real estate assets. They are inflation protection. They are developing and creating all this enormous value with each of these properties. And it is a truly value creation story. It's like a Fisher compounder, but you're also getting this gram. If you dig in at the values, you're getting this gram net where you just can't believe that you're able to scoop up these properties at this price because of the market confusion. So you kind of get this combination of all these things. And then, as you said, you just own these wonderful assets. And in some cases, we don't know what is going to ultimately exist on this land, but these are strategically positioned properties for the last 50 years. They are in major intersections. There's a demographic of people that are usually very affluent. There's going to be a lot of demand for this space in the future. So you just hold it and keep it. It's wonderful. Daily Journal has a parallel characteristics, but it's very different. Look, the framework, there's a lot of frameworks that we use, but a general framework that I really try to apply is having an extraordinary business model, having an extraordinary management team, and having deep value. And if you get right in the nexus of that, it's really hard to go wrong. So Daily Journal has, it's this firm that's been run by Charlie Munger since he bought it with Rick Guerin 43 years ago. They have built up an incredible base of goodwill in all sorts of aspects. I mean, these guys have written the books on moats. There's so many moats. There's so much off financial statement value in Daily Journal that it's difficult to even quantify. There's so many characteristics of the business that give them a competitive advantage over the long run. That, again, similar to Seritage, we don't know exactly how big is this going to become? How valuable can this be? But it is certainly going to become very valuable. And I can sleep so well at night. I'm quite pleased about this. Our small, modest-sized fund now owns 0.5% of all of the Daily Journal shares. And there is no reason, you could tell me all sorts of problems and issues. I'm basically going to ignore them. I mean, people comment all the time about whether the software is going to grow this fast, or if the model shows, this return or X return or Y return. It's going in the right direction. It's run by the right people. It's an outstanding pseudo SaaS business model in a very big space, and we're getting it for an extraordinary price. So we own 0.5% of the whole firm, and we're going to own 0.5% of one of maybe a duopoly that runs the American justice system. I mean, it's just like an incredible opportunity.
You heard it from me before we made this live, but it's just so exciting to see a business that gives the client all of the development costs, and all the way up to the day where the client's software goes live is eaten by Daily Journal or by Journal Technologies. And it's just so much fun to see a company that actually lives the values of Charlie Munger, of wear a hair shirt. And it's no different to those of us who do not charge a management fee. And we just say, you know what, we're willing to wear this hair shirt. And when you make money, we make money. And if you don't make money, we don't make anything. And it's a similar idea with Daily Journal. And it's just, I would just tell you that it's awesome to have that in your ecosystem. And somehow, all you do is own the bits of paper, but it's so much more than that. I think that Daily Journal will influence your behavior and will also influence my behavior in the same way that Berkshire has. Matthew, if somebody hears this and wants to get in touch with you, how do they get in touch with you?
Well, they can enter into my funnel. So they basically would visit my website, petersonfunds.com. And by the way, there's a whole lot of stuff out there. So if people just generally want to watch things, we have a YouTube channel. They can go to our website, but petersonfunds.com. If you basically log in and put in your details, you're gonna end up connecting with me. Although it's not always right away, but we'll end up in touch. Otherwise, you can write me directly at matthew.peterson@petersonfunds.com.
Sounds good. And Twitter, other social media?
Yes, I am on Twitter. I guess we'll put the Twitter handle in the comments and things, but I am on Twitter. We're on a lot of social media. So YouTube, you can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me, on all of the standard. We're yet to really have much of a TikTok profile, but the rest of it's out there.
Yeah, sounds good. Matthew, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, Guy. It's a pleasure, as always. Hey, it's great to see you here. If you enjoyed that video, I'm sure you're going to love this next one we put together. We'll see you there.